Vancouver real estate prices and rents are not going to wait for you, and you need to take action before you get left behind. That's what I'm talking about today. I'm that Agent Kelly. I talk about Canadian real estate in my local market of Abbotsford and the Fraser Valley. If you guys like my content, subscribe to the channel, like this video. If you want to chat one-on-one, I got a link in my description you can click on, book yourself right into my calendar. So I've been seeing all these articles lately where a renter will be, getting kicked out of their apartment because the landlord is now choosing to sell the home, but they've been, paying $900 a month rent in �𝐄𝐑 for the last 20 years, right? And once the landlord sells, their rent is basically going to 2 to 2.5x from what it currently is right now. So they'll go to the news, and then the news or the article will go on to say something like, this is why we need more affordable housing, and the government should be doing this, and it's investors' fault, and it's this person's fault, and it's everybody's fault, right? Now, I do believe what has happened with home pricing here in at least Vancouver is the fault of the government, just due to government overspending, which has caused inflation and excessive immigration, which has basically caused excessive immigration paired with the fact that municipal policy makes it really hard to build new homes has caused a supply and demand imbalance, which has skyrocketed home values. So there is some truth to that, saying that it is the government's fault. I do believe that a large portion of this is the government's fault. But in my opinion, it's way too late for them to fix this problem. The best that they could probably do would be slow the rate of growth, slow the rate of which prices and rents are going up, but they're not going to reverse anything at this point. So I'm not gonna come on here and tell you guys that it doesn't suck. It does suck. Like, my parents were able to buy a beautiful detached house on a 7,000 square foot lot, working 40 hours a week, 9 to 5 kind of thing, and here I am busting my ass since 18, and I own a 1980s condo in Abbotsford with no in-suite laundry. So I get it, it sucks. But thinking like this and blaming people and complaining is not going to help your situation. Like, first off, if you're one of these people that are paying a ridiculously low rent, and you have been for many years, you're not, pulling one over your landlord. Your landlord is fully aware that that's the case, right? And they're basically a charity organization at this point, right? So you should, show gratitude and be very thankful that you've been allowed or afforded to be able to pay such low rents for such a long extended period of time, because it would make way more sense for your landlord to just sell that property, get the capital out, and buy a new one at today's market rents. So just understand that if you're in this position, I'm not trying to, down talk you or anything weird like that. I'm just saying that you should be thankful that you're in that position, right? And if the scenario occurs where your landlord sells and you are now out of that position and you have to go get a new market rent somewhere else, it's nobody's fault but your own. Because if you've been paying such low rents for such a long time, you should have been doing something during that time period to eventually be able to get into the market, knowing that that wasn't going to last forever. I put a video out on TikTok a while ago where I basically said something along the lines of, if you want to live in an above average city like Vancouver, it's going to require you to do an above average amount of work. This video went viral, blew up, pissed a whole bunch of people off, and then this girl who lives out here stitched the video, which is basically her doing a remix on it. And then she basically said in the video all of the reasons why she's a victim and why she should own property here, in spite of everything that has happened, even though she hasn't done the work required to actually own the property. Like, she basically just listed all of the reasons why she's a victim to it, and basically ended it with her parents were here first and she was here first, so she should just own property here. And her video blew up, it went super viral, it got thousands of comments and likes, and I was basically under fire for like 2 weeks from everybody just kind of calling me a heartless dick kind of thing, right? I'm not here to talk down on you guys. Like, I make these videos and I talk about these topics in hopes that somebody's going to hear it, because this was my thought process and this was what got me into the position where I could buy my first property. And hopefully when I put out videos like this, somebody's gonna hear it and it's gonna help them. Yeah, it's gonna piss off a bunch of people, but there should be a couple people where it wakes them up and actually helps them be able to buy that first property. But funny enough, she was saying that, you know, I'm privileged, and I wish I had the video. I just didn't feel like taking the time to look for it. But she's telling me I'm privileged. Meanwhile, she's in her mid-40s, and the $275,000 condo that I bought when I was 22 would have probably been like 50 grand if I was, you know, 14 years older. Most of these people that complain about the current circumstances have had the opportunities to get into the market where, you know, the market pulled back, they thought it was gonna go lower, they didn't buy it, they, you know, chose to go on vacations instead of saving their money, they got married instead of just putting a down payment on a condo. They had the opportunities, they just didn't take them. And I mean, if you just Googled the annual rate of growth for rental prices in Vancouver, it would probably scare the shit out of you and, you know, put your rear in gear kind of thing, because you could do some simple math and be like, all right, if this is how much rental rates grow and my landlord kicks me out in 7 years, I'm not going to be able to afford to live here. So I should probably plan for this and start doing something about it right now. So anyways, this is the point of this video. If you're one of these people, listen to me now, okay? It is not going to get easier. It will never be easier. It's never been easy. It's always been hard, but it's just going to get harder and harder and harder. Blaming and complaining is not going to get you anywhere. Just asking for the circumstances around you to change instead of you changing is a lot more difficult. What's easier is just changing you than you trying to change the circumstances around you. You have one vote out of 37 million Canadians or whatever that is, right? You have 100% of the share of votes of what you decide to do in your own life. And if you're not taking daily action to be able to buy a place or get out of this situation that you're in, you don't even have to buy a place, but, you know, level up your income or whatever it may be. If you're not taking 100% daily action, educating yourself, you know, working towards a goal, whatever, and you're just kind of like letting life happen, then eventually you will be priced out of Vancouver and you'll end up living in Edmonton or Winnipeg. No offense to either of those cities, they're just obviously not as good as Vancouver. Even when I was making over $100K a year as a 22-year-old plumber, I knew that that job wasn't going to take me to where I want to go in life. Yes, I was able to buy my first condo and 2 other investment properties on that salary, but I knew if I wanted to live in a detached home and live the, you know, American dream, even though we live in Canada, that I wouldn't be able to do that without putting in 20 years of grueling hard work, and I probably wouldn't be able to buy a detached house until I was 45. So I started taking daily action to better my mind, to be able to level up my skills, to go get a higher paying job. Right now we live in probably the most opportune time to make money, and I hear people talk about all the time how wages haven't kept pace with inflation, which is true, and again, it sucks, right? This is why I left my job as a plumber, because although that is the case with all of these traditional jobs, the way the economy and the world has evolved, they've opened up a whole bunch of new opportunities, a whole bunch of new higher paying opportunities than the traditional jobs where you could be a freelancer and make 500 grand a year, or you can, you know, edit videos for people. So the guy who edits my videos is like 18 years old, and he's already making multiple 6 figures because he's built up a clientele list. He just edits videos for like $500 a month. Now he's got people working for him. Like, you would never have been able to do that 20 years ago, right? So although all of these other jobs don't pay you the money that's required to be able to live comfortably in this city anymore, there's a whole bunch of new opportunities that you can dip into, right? And I'm not where I want to be. That's not where I'm preaching. I'm not preaching that I make all this money or whatever. My goal is to just help the guy below me, right? I make the content that I wish I would have seen when I was 22 years old, because it would have helped me out. At the end of the day, this video is basically like, I'm just telling you, do not say that owning real estate here is impossible. Anyways, I'm probably gonna get lit up in the comments for this one, but if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, like the video. I'm that Agent Kelly, and I'm making moves to move you.